What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is Erico, otherwise known as Oh No, It's Erico, and today we have another dual citizenship tip for you on how to convert your US driver's license to a Philippine driver's license. So the process to convert your US driver's license to a Philippine driver's license is actually super easy. What you need to have, of course, is an existing driver's license. And now, before we begin, if you're watching this to figure out whether or not you can drive with a foreign driver's license in the Philippines, the short answer is yes, you can. So Philippine law actually states that you are able to drive in this country with a driver's license as long as it's written in English for 90 days from the time you've entered this country. Effectively, that's reciprocity with other foreign countries that have their licenses in English, and you can go ahead and rent a car and drive here in the country without any issue if you're here on vacation. Unfortunately, if you're here for an extended amount of time, or rather, you don't want to deal with your local barangay or local law enforcement kind of giving you trouble with this weird law that they probably haven't heard before, I would recommend that you get a Philippine driver's license. And that is really easy to do once you have already achieved dual citizenship. So if you're like me and you enjoy driving and you want to drive every single car out there that you can get your hands on, a driver's license is probably the easiest way that you can go ahead and do that legally. The other reason why I wanted to get a driver's license here in the Philippines was I didn't want to always carry around my passport for fear of losing it or getting it stolen, and I also found it very inconvenient. It just doesn't fit in my pocket. So I decided I needed another primary form of ID because some of the secondary IDs that I have don't necessarily work in a setting, for example, at the bank or in a government office. So I decided that I was going to get a driver's license not only so that way I could drive, but also to use as a primary form of ID. So it's actually really simple to get your driver's license here in the Philippines if you already have an existing driver's license from a foreign country. As a matter of fact, if you visit the LTO's website, they actually have the cost for a conversion of a foreign license listed out on one of their web pages, meaning to say they're very used to the process. Anyway, I decided not to get my Philippine license here in Manila, and I actually did it while I was in Bacolod for a couple of days, simply because there are less people, it's a smaller office, and less people means shorter lines. Of course, there was still a line, but not as crazy as some of the lines here in Manila. So I brought a binder full of documents with me just to make sure that I was covered on all bases. As I mentioned, I brought my birth certificate and I also brought my passport, as well as some supporting IDs such as my PhilHealth ID and my TIN ID. I also brought my New York State ID, or my New York State driver's license, that was still valid at the time of my application. Now, the reason why you should bring your US passport and your Philippine passport at the LTO is because if you actually take a look at the LTO's regulations, I'll put a link down below for that, it says that you have to be in the Philippines for at least 1 month before applying for a driver's license. Now, I'm not necessarily sure if they hold true or they're very strict with that law. Conveniently for me, I was in the Philippines for just over a month at the time that I went to go apply for a license. So I think that's fine. Again, that's just something that you guys should be mindful of. But I haven't heard any difficulties with that rule if you have all the other documentation in line. Before you get in line at the LTO, there is kind of a pre-office or kind of a front office that you go to, and what they'll do there is they'll ask you what you're going in for, and I simply said I'm here to get a Philippine driving license, and they had asked me if I wanted to get a student permit. I told them that I already have a New York State driver's license. They asked me for my birth certificate, and I told them it's not an NSO birth certificate here from the Philippines. I was actually born in the States. They took a look at my documentation and verified it with some of the other IDs I presented. And they said I don't need a student permit and I can go directly to a license conversion. So from there, I needed to take a medical exam, which consisted of a vision test. And after paying about 120 pesos, which is a little less than $2.50, I was certified to go and request for a license conversion. After waiting in line for about an hour and paying about 900 pesos, which is about 18 USD, I was given my paper license because unfortunately for me, the machine was broken on that day and I couldn't get my plastic ID. For those of you wondering what the paper driver's license looks like in the Philippines, it looks like this. However, because I was afraid that it would get crumpled or get wet, or maybe I would lose it, I decided to get it laminated, and I believe it cost me 20 pesos to get this laminated at the bookstore. So I had this for about 5 months, and I would carry this wherever I went, wherever I had to drive, or if I just needed to be in a situation where I needed my license. And I would have this in my backpack until the next time I went to Bacolod, and that's when I was able to go back to the LTO and they gave me my card here. Now, for some of you guys, an option, or it wouldn't be an option for you to go to another island to get your license. Again, the only reason why I went to the Bacolod LTO to get my license was, of course, I have an address there, and also it was much easier in terms of waiting in line. The good news is, if you do apply for your driver's license conversion here in Manila, I was told from friends that you can actually get your plastic license on the same day, so you don't have to run around with one of these. Now, for those of you watching, and if you're a dual citizen who is under the age of 18 and you'd like to get a license here in the Philippines, unfortunately you have to be 18 in order to get a license. I'm not sure if you have an existing license, for example, if you're 17 and you'd like to convert it, I'm not sure if the Philippines will allow you to convert directly, so please do your research on that specific situation. If you are under 18 and you'd like a student permit, that's fine and not an issue. You can go ahead and apply for a student permit, and then 1 month after you have your student permit, you can go ahead and apply for a non-professional driver's license here in the Philippines. And that's quite simple as well. So for only 900 pesos, a couple hours of my time, and filling out a quick form and taking a simple eye exam, I was able to get one of these and drive here in the Philippines with no issue whatsoever. More importantly, I've been able to use this as an ID many times since getting this license about 2 years ago. Again, when visiting your nearest LTO branch, if you want to convert your foreign driver's license to a Philippine driver's license, don't forget to bring your passports, birth certificates, any kind of secondary IDs you have, such as a PhilHealth or a TIN ID, and your money, because you're going to need to pay in cash for the conversion application. Just one more quick note before I leave you guys. If you are converting your foreign driver's license to a Philippine driver's license, you automatically get a non-professional driver's license. So that means that you can't drive any big trucks or tractor trailers. However, you can drive any sort of passenger car or van, and this is more than enough to drive what you would normally drive back home. So that does it for this video. I hope you found it helpful. Again, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Throw a question down below if there's something that I didn't answer in this video. And of course, don't forget to follow me on Instagram at ohnoitserico, and check out my blog as well, www.gowitherico.com. Thank you guys so much for watching, and see you in the next one.